and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe, right here in Lagos Studios.
Body greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonapan.
All right, the Premier League, the English Premier League, is looking like there's going to be a very, very tricky finish because Manchester City, after winning last night, top of the table, they're topping based on the numbers of goals they've scored ahead of Arsenal. And of course, Burnley, Wolves already relegated. Who will be joining them at the Championship next season? Will it be Tottenham or West Ham? We'll be taking a look at that during our European segment on Thursday night. And of course, we'll be talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League, of the teams that have gained promotion into the top flight. Talking about 4 privately owned clubs. That's a history. For the very first time, you're having 4 clubs run privately, gaining promotion to the top flight of the Nigeria Premier Football League. So we'll be taking a look at that. And NWFL will also get our attention. That's Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership. Well, you have FC Robo Queens booking a spot in the Super 6. They beat FC Robo beating Remo Stars ladies in Lagos, and that lone goal was enough for them to pick that Super 6 ticket. They've been looking at it for a long time. So for Nassau Amazons, for Remo Stars ladies, and also you have another team in the mix trying to see how they can get their hands on the Super 6 from Group B. But Group A, everything all completed. We have Edo Queens, Bayelsa Queens, and Rivers Angels, all of them already booking a spot for the Super 6. We will also be taking a look at wheelchair basketball. Those players who secured a ticket for the Commonwealth Games for the first time for Nigeria when it comes to wheelchair basketball women. They have been talking how they can actually prepare themselves for the Commonwealth Games coming up later in the year in Scotland. And of course, we'll be taking a look at Scrabble, and grassroots sports will also be getting our attention tonight on the show. And Ghana, well, their coach has been unveiled, Carlos Queiroz. Well, he says it is this job he's having. This is the 8th club as a coach, 8th country as a coach. But then, well, these may just be the most difficult job because Ghana going to the World Cup. He has less than 2 months to prepare the team. 2 months, less than 3 months to prepare the Black Stars for the World Cup. We'll be talking about all this on the show tonight. And of course, who is here with us tonight? Yes?
I believe it's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you join us on the program. Damilola Onifade, great to have you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, precisely.
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Austin, so let's start up with a Scrabble. A quick one on this one. Just take this one out of the way. The inaugural Open Scrabble Championship of the Southeast. It's been open, and it was declared open by the Commissioner for Sports and Youth Development, one below Anamba, at the Indoor Sports Hall of Moya Central Stadium. So participants were actually encouraged to favorably compete well, and not just that, also make their brain very active. You know, when it comes to Scrabble, you have to use a lot of your brain. But then stakeholders also believe that, well, this may just continue with the governor, who is putting everything in place to ensure the sport is growing, you know, in the country, not just football, not just basketball, but all aspects of sport, including board games. Let's listen to them.
This is an advantage to the state. Sincerely, all this going on in the state is giving us a comparative advantage. The talents we have selected, we've tapped. Of course, we are harnessing them, like what happened in shooting after the January shooting championship. The talents we tapped and trained, they went to National Para Games and made the state proud. They got 3 gold medals, 2 silver, and 3 bronze. That is the best result shooting has ever gotten in Abia. So we are not joking. His Excellency giving all this approval is for a purpose. He is developing the youth in this state through sports.
Yes, as I went around, I saw that they are all, they are all poised to win. They are all working hard, taking critical decisions. It's a mind game. And they are all, I'm amazed, the way they are forming their words, they are all prepared to be the winner, and I encourage them, let them play with fairness, let them play with joy. Yeah. It's not just all about what to score. It's also a time to connect, a time to meet friends, a time to know others.
time to connect, and a time to do everything they can and to have that Scrabble for you in Abia State. That's the Southeast Open Scrabble Championship in Abia State. It started. So Austin, usually we start off with grassroots. That's happening in Abia State, but then in Lagos State, you want to talk about that briefly before we go to wheelchair basketball. I know you're passionate about this.
I like it, I like when we do what we can to take sports back to the basics, empower young talent. And you said it, Scrabble is an intellectual sport. We do so well with Scrabble. Let me not say we used to. Remember when Wellington Jigera went to the World Championship in Perth? I think it was in 2015. And then he defeated an Englishman to win the World Championship. It put Nigeria on the world map, saying that, look, we can actually be a Scrabble playing nation. So you want to expect that we keep that going. And the only way we can get that when we have this sort of regional championships, to discover more talents that will add to the pool of national talent. So I like it so much. I just hope that it's not going to be a one-off. I just hope that they will not look tomorrow and say, oh, why are we doing Scrabble when we can do football and basketball only? Because that used to be the problem with other sports in Nigeria. So shout out to Abia State. I remember I spoke with the commissioner when I met him at the Paralympics in Paris, and he outlined the plans that they had for other sports in the state. And it was really laudable. Remember, they do so well for their Paralympians, Onyechi, and about 3-4 of them are from Abia State doing so well. So yeah, Abia State showing us that, look, we can look beyond football, Cecilia.
Yeah, that's the thing, not just about football. Let's quickly go to wheelchair basketball. For the wheelchair basketball, when the women qualified for the Commonwealth Games, all of us celebrated. We felt, okay, now there's attention on the sport. South Africa used to be the one representing, Africa when it comes to both the men and the women. Now it's split into two. You have South Africa, you have Nigeria. Now Nigeria women will be attending for the first time. And the ladies, when they secured the tickets in Angola, they were thinking, okay, the president had promised, and then we have a viable league, sustainable one, where they can actually fall back on. But when I was at the stadium on Tuesday morning, I went for a grassroots sport event, and I saw them training. I'm like, okay, is this what you guys do every morning? They say yes, a famous adaptive basketball club is what is actually, helping them. They belong to that club, so every morning they come down here at the National Stadium to train. So this is where they're training as they prepare for the Commonwealth Games. You have both men and women, together at the club. So those who are in the club are training here. What about those that don't even have clubs? You just be at home waiting.
Well, it still comes down to what Austin said. We usually have some of these events, but I've always said that it's not enough to have them in trickles. We must have a system where when you discover players from like this Southeast Open Scrabble, what happened next?
What next?
What's the next thing? You see where they are preparing, and they are going for an international tournament anytime soon. So it's a challenge. If we have a league, I have an issue just saying we should have a league because again, some of the ones that we don't have the leagues, what are we doing with the league?
But we should have a sustainable one.
The most important thing is we must build an ecosystem that can sustain itself over time. We must look at a structure that can work. A league might not necessarily have 15, 16 teams. Even if it's something manageable, you can do it regionally, and then at some point, maybe the top 4 comes together at some point in time of the year. But it's important that we keep our athletes engaged, no matter what the sport is. And fortunately, most of these sports are a lot more cheaper to run than football.
Yeah.
But again, we also must call on corporate Nigeria because, you see, let's be honest, government alone cannot fund sports.
Yeah, we know that.
And that's the reality.
That's it. Also, you remember the Victor Oche wheelchair basketball championship? Yep. I think last time it was in 2016 or 2016, I can't remember, but it's been a long time, and then you have the betting company coming into sponsoring for two seasons consecutively, or 2 years. But I think since last year, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if there are others that have actually heard, but that's actually what they're clamoring for. Situation whereby they have something to fall back on, week in, week out. Absolutely. So they're not just, practicing every morning at the National Stadium.
And they've always been making this call that they want a league, they want a structure, they want a system where they can actually meet every now and then. Because as wheelchair basketballers, they believe that they need to do so much. Because if you remember, I think it was like 3-4 years ago, wheelchair basketball when Bukola Olopade was the president,
Yeah.
we used to have talents from Nigeria go abroad to play and do so well. And I believe that the only way that we can keep that going is when they have a viable league. And I know you agree to that 100%. So it's important that we get that going to keep the athletes busy. Cecilia, you have a talent and you don't have a platform to showcase it. How are you going to even know that you've got a talent? So I totally agree with these players. They need something going for them, and it's about time the country have a look at them, because whatever you do to able-bodied athletes, you have to do double for these guys, you know, who are playing with the different conditions that they are dealing with in their daily lives. Let's listen to some of the players Cecilia caught up with talking about wheelchair basketball development in Nigeria.
We are currently looking for sponsorship, because we believe with sponsorship we will be able to go far. And like what you mentioned, most of our players representing Nigeria at the just qualifying Commonwealth Games, which we made Nigeria proud. I mean, it's an individual effort, you know, that started this team. And I believe if we also have people that come and support, we can be able to give Nigeria more talent. We can be able to promote more talent for Nigeria. Like, as it is, they are still physically challenged that are not really socialized, that they are indoors. We believe with sport inclusion and the developmental program for them, we'll have more physically challenged people that they will be integrated into sport and they will be able to make Nigeria proud. What we need now is we need sponsorship from private individuals. We can do it. Like before we went for the Commonwealth Games, I had a lot of friends that they asked me, can you guys do it? I just said them, Nigeria they carry last. and I think we did our best. We played in a league. Let me say last 2 years, we had a Bet King Wheelchair Basketball League, but we are still looking forward to it. They started last 2 years, and you know, but we are hopeful. We are hopeful.
From the first game to South Africa, Kenya, so many people came there. But our first game, South Africa beat us, and that day I really cried. I don't even eat that night. But second day you go for semi-final for Kenya, we beat them. But later they say around 12-1, we play final with 4. South Africa, my team, we don't ready. Say today, we'll finish everything. And thank God, we win. 8-3. This is the first time for wheelchair basketball win Commonwealth. You know, that day, not be smart, you know. Now, just good thing in my life, because I don't even know, because that day, that traveling, that's the first traveling, that's the first time I went up plane, because I've already do 3 international passports, nothing they day. But I don't lose hope. I just, let me be doing it. And thank God the third one, they snap mine. Even that it's Africa, this thing, but they see snap arm. I see represent Nigeria. For next one, we are going, I think it's June to August, we are going for qualifying for Scotland. I beg Nigeria, we day. Don't worry. You know they carry lots. That gold there, we are going for gold. Just praying for us and supporting us, and as just supporting us.
Nigerians definitely support you guys. What do you think? How can wheelchair basketball really grow in Nigeria? Really, how can it really grow?
Let me just talk about fine. We are doing para game and we are doing festival. We are just trying to appreciate all the states they are doing it, because I remember the last time is Ogun State they're doing it. And this one is Enugu. So we want to do it whole. I think it's around November 26 to December 11, and we are doing it. And secondly, I'm just trying to tell our president to help us doing the league there 2 times in a year, please.
It's easy. They won the league. I love our experience, you know, first time traveling out of the country and, of course, taking a ticket to go to Commonwealth Games. What a story for these athletes. Hopefully, they get what they want. We have a national league where they can actually thrive, showcase their talent, and also do more for themselves and also for the country, of course, including their family. All right, let's leave wheelchair basketball, Austin, and quickly talk about this one, another grassroots sport event, the Yaba Sports Festival that happened in Lagos. And of course, last time we talked about it, we had a football club that was boasting that they will be winning this year's the second edition. They will retain the title, but they didn't get to the final because it was Makoko FC who ended up winning this particular championship. That's talking about the second edition of the DKO Yaba Sport Festival. It came to a thrilling conclusion with the football event. Of course, the final was attended by a lot of people. You have Nuka Ogbade there, that's the former Golden Eaglet coach. You had the former first vice president of Nigerian Football Federation, Sheyi Akiwumi, also in attendance. You also had the Lagos State Football Association chairman, Gaffa Liamid, also in attendance for this event. So Makoko FC won the final, defeating Iwaya Football Club by lone goal to lift that trophy. Igbo Community Football won the third place match at the expense of Onike Football Club. So it was all about community football, community events. It wasn't just about football. They had tennis, they had Ayo, and some other events. But it focused, obviously, when it comes to sports festivals like this, everyone wants to focus on the football. But the good thing about this is the fact that you had the under 17, under 20, they had to focus on the youth. Yes, the adults had their time, but the focus why these people were here were actually the youth. Just look at the kids that came out in the numbers to watch under the hot sun, just to witness some of them knowing the people they actually see, people they see on the streets regularly.
Listen, these are very laudable projects. Just before we came here, while we were talking about wheelchair basketball, I was thinking that rather than even a national league, can't we have state leagues across the country? And it's just keep people engaged.
Anything.
I mean, this Yaba, can we have something in motion? Can we go outside of Lagos, go to Ogun State and have something like this? Because you see, it is the trickles of it that is consistent is better than an idea that we keep flying about and nothing happens to. For me, it's brilliant. You see these, even those young kids that are watching, there is an inspiration coming. Some of them want to say, tomorrow I also want to participate. Of course, not all of them will become stars. Not all the aspirations we all have eventually turn out to be what we become. But then, the more opportunities you give them, the more chance that we have a pool of athletes that are coming to replace the ones that are currently on the scene. We cannot stop, and we cannot also stop calling for more corporate sponsorship. Some of these sponsorship don't have to be extremely big, particularly at this level. The most important thing is that let's just do something that we can, that will ensure that the pool keep coming. There is a reservoir of talent over time in this country.
That's what we're hoping for, Austin. I guess that's what we're all hoping for, that reservoir of talent where we have a pool, and not just having them, but also entrusting them and also ensuring that, well, we groom them for the future.
Absolutely, Cecilia. Look, we cannot overemphasize why we must keep doing this. It's very, very important, going back to the basics, learning what it means to go 360 degrees branding, going through long-term planning and organizing, and just taking your eyes away from anything elite, because we haven't been doing this for a long time and our sports has been struggling. So why can't we just go back to what it is? Adam Lola Onifani just mentioned that because back in the day, Damilola, I remember how big community football used to be. I used to walk from Festac sometimes to Kirikiri, Satellite Town, just to watch community football. It was that big. You go to FHA then in Festac Town, talent came out of there. And what the DKO Yaba Sports Festival is doing is taking us back to that, And look, if we encourage at this level where you don't even need so much, you do not need so much, de-emphasize money and just put together this sort of, events that will give us an opportunity to have a look at young talents and see how we can nurture, and develop those talents. You never, ever can just tell where that development can take us to. Good to see Barrister Sheyi Akiwumi, and some officials of football in Nigeria, former referee right there also. You mentioned Nduka Ogbade, who's been there, done that with grassroots football development, who knows the science of the sport. And look, that science starts on all of these sandy, dusty pitches where talents are so raw and we want to help them manifest it. You know what, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We'll go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll take some of the talking points that came out of the DKO Yaba Sports Festival. We've said that this one can help to make the grassroots look good. We'll be back, don't go anywhere. Tonight on your award-winning sports-loving channels television. Before the break, we're talking about the DKO Yaba Sports Festival. Let's listen to some of the talking points that came out of that one.
You heard them talk about Nduka Ubade, who is a football scout. Of course, he's been talking about the talent that he has seen so far. Beyond that, if you look around you, you will see people who are very excited. I can tell you that crime will not happen in this community today and in the last 7 days. I mean, nothing beats that. There's peace in this community. The Igbos are together with the Yorubas. The Yorubas are together with the Hausas, the Lajes, the Igbos, and all of them. So for Dr. Lupaya, it's just about youth engagement, youth empowerment, community empowerment. Sport is just one of the things that he does.
This is unprecedented. You know, it's something that we need to continue to do over and over and over again. Look at the mini stadium of Evans Square here. Entering this place, seeing about 2,000 people watching football makes me happy. And it should come back again and again and again. And second edition, look at the boys playing, young footballers, you know, enterprising and aspiring to be, you know, a good footballer in the future.
You can't get the senior team if you don't get the youths, the under 10, the under 13, under 15, under 17, then above 17 coming to 18. It's extremely important that competitions like this are being held every year. And we cannot restrict it to this place alone. You understand? This is for this community because the MFM actually started here. And it's important that our GO gives back to the community, which I've seen a lot of improvement for the past 2 years now, because a lot of violence and every other thing comes around all this area within Lagos. But it's a lot better now. Calma. A lot of, every time in the morning you come here, you see football going on, you see table tennis, you see some of them playing, what's it called, these cards and all that, you know, not for any bad reason, but for all good reasons, which things like this should be coming up. But all over the country, we need it.
Absolutely. All over the country, this is needed, you know. And Damilola, we talked about it, and let's say it again, so that officials of football in Nigeria can understand, even when you do not put money into this or you don't support it, you must monitor it, because this is a good platform for talent development.
Austin, you get it spot on. You must support it. And as the chairman of the Lagos State Football Association was speaking, I was thinking something that, okay, now this is a private initiative, but this is coming up because there is a facility. And so the officials that are there must also see the need. It's easy, it will be a bit difficult to move this around the country where there are no facilities to use. Because if the facilities are there, then we can start talking about putting it to use. So there are different people that must come together and play their role. The State Football Association, the State Tennis Association, the local government sports, whatever title they call them, must play their role to ensure that we have this facility, so that corporate individuals that are willing to put things together will have the space to do it. Yeah. If we want to do basketball, for example, do we have the facilities within local governments, within communities that you can use? If they are not there, it's going to be difficult, even when somebody wants to fund it. And so that's the part of the officials. We've called up corporate Nigeria, we've called on individuals that have the means. And then the most important thing, like look at what they said, is that sport has the power to take people away from crime. And if that's all we're going to achieve doing this, then I think it's something we must not stop doing.
Yeah, I think it's something we actually need to build on when it comes to this. Let's quickly take it to the Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership. Match day 16 is getting our attention at the moment. It was decisive all through, with Group A already confirmed for Super 6. Of course, we have relegated teams. But then Group B is still dicey. FC Robo secured that slot to Super 6. They beat Remo Stars ladies. Remo Stars ladies needed to win Lagos to see how they can get closer to it. But it was FC Robo who won by a long way. If we quickly have that, we'll just run through the result that went down. Of course, also look at the top 4, the top 3, and the bottom 3. We started out with Group A result. Bayelsa Queens extended their lead at the top of the table by 2 2 points adrift of Edo Queens, who are second, beating Adamawa Queens by 2-0. Heartland Queens beats Rivers Angels by 2-1. They had to relax, and of course, Edo Queens moved to second after a goalless game against Pacesetter Queens. You have Ekiti Queens and Ibom Angels. It was Ekiti Queens winning by 2-0. Let's go to Group B. The games we have FC Robo Queens winning Lagos by lone goal. Nasarawa Missiles were on fire against Confluence Queens 4-0. Sunshine Queens and Ocean Babes 3-0. Ayun Dynamic Queens and Danas Ladies, I think this is more like a revenge mission for them. They lost in Lagos when they came here. And Abia Angels and Delta Queens, this ended 2-0 in favor, of course, of the home team, Abia Angels. Now, let's take a look at the top 3 and the bottom 3. We're starting off with what we have in Group A. Now, this is what you have in Group A, and of course, all of them already booked that slot. As I mentioned earlier, Bayelsa Queens, by virtue of that, 2-0 against Adamawa Queens, 34 points. Edo Queens are now second. You have Rivers Angels 31. So goal difference of 22. They just league on their own. They've lost just 2 games this season, while the other 2 have lost 2, and of course, 3-4 Rivers Angels. Let's quickly go to bottom 3. This is where you have it. These 2 teams already relegated. The Adamawa Queens are struggling to stay up in this one. So they're staying up in the season. Let's look at Group B. What we have here, FC Robo Queens, only the team that secured a slot to the Super 6. You have Nasarawa Missions and Abia Angels are in the mix. You also have FC Robo Queens in the mix to see how they can get the spot in Super 6. We still have 2 more games to go. Maybe it's going to go down the wire to the final day to see how they can do that. Let's look at the bottom 3. This one, Danas Ladies, well, they're 19 points from 16 games. They've won just 6 games this season, losing 9, and goal difference of -14. There you have Ocean Babes, and of course, Confluence Queens already out. But then these 2 teams, how did they go down? -16 goal difference and -4. And this season, this one lost 8 and 9, just 4 wins and 3 for Confluence Queens, respectively. So that's what it looks like in the Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership. Austin, a quick one on this one.
No, we already talked about it, that Group A was done. Group B, I wanted to see if Remo Stars Ladies can show that they can put up a fight. But FC Robo Queens wanted it more, Cecilia, and that 1-0 win was a big, big win for them. And you start wondering, Remo Stars, the men are struggling. The women, Cecilia, are they going to miss out of the Super 6? Then what's going on with Remo Stars in general? Tough, but I like the fact that we're seeing some, of the analysis that we've given about women's football in Nigeria being competitive, being one that you can push, that you can talk about the push that is needed. Pacesetter Edo Queens, for instance, I was saying yesterday that it can just be an easy win for Edo Queens. No, that was a competitive goalless draw result right there. So, Damilola Onifade, I like everything that has happened, with the NWFL so far this season. Other some of the ugly scenes we saw in Ado Ekiti the other day. This is competitive football. Again, if it gets that attention that we always call for, they might just be playing the sort of football that if we get a fantastic champion from the NWFL, we can start thinking about winning the CAF Women's Champions League.
Austin, honestly, I think the only thing stopping us from competing favorably on the continent is largely funding. Funding and maybe a bit of the organization that we need to also tidy up. Talent is never going to be our problem when it comes to women's football. I will say that any day. Talent will never be our problem. And so I'm not surprised with the competitive nature of the league. And I think if you think that this league is competitive, just wait for the Super 6, because that one is going to be fireworks. When you look at the quality of teams that will be going there, it's difficult to even predict what will happen in the Super 6. Again, you have to commend the organization of the NWFL. Yes, there are teething problems here and there, but then I will commend that every year it seems as if we are getting, at least you can see some improvement here and there, even in the quality of the teams, and it's something that we must commend.
Okay, let's quickly go to our European segment. Don't worry, we'll get to talk about the Ghanaian coach tomorrow and also look at the teams that have qualified for the top flight. Now it's time to get into the European segment. European football segment sponsored by Betano. Now let's take a look at what happened last night in the English Premier League. Everyone was anticipating a whitewash of Burnley, though, relegation candidates, but then it took Erling Haaland, 5th-minute goal, for them to just do barely enough to go to top of the table. And now, by virtue of the numbers of goals Man City has scored, that's the reason they're top of the table. So for the first time since August, Man City are top of the table. And Arsenal, that have been there for a very, very long time, are second on the table. Yes, I know most pundits will say they saw this coming. I mean, with the 5 games Arsenal played in a row, losing 3, managing draws and everything. But then at Toughmore, Burnley condemned to relegation just by a lone goal. Now, the problem now is what will happen? What will happen really going forward from here? Because Arsenal are looking like, well, you're dropping it.
I think the point is Arsenal cannot afford to drop any other point because this Man City does not look like they will drop points. I'm not saying they're not going to, but it doesn't look like.
Have you seen the next games, the next 5 games?
I've seen it. For Arsenal, it looks a lot easier on paper, but again, the character of Arsenal so far this season is that the games you thought they would actually win are the ones where they have they fumbled. I think what has hurt them really badly this time is that Bournemouth game. That game was. I saw the game and I was even hungrier. As someone that is
not even
someone that is not even a fan of Arsenal because they didn't play the game.
After how many weeks?
Honestly, to lose against Man City is more acceptable, but to lose the way they lost against Bournemouth was very difficult. But then I still see Arsenal going top and putting Man City under pressure. Man City will play in the FA Cup this weekend, while Arsenal will play the league. So if they win that, they go. I think they're playing Fulham or so.
Fulham.
Fulham. And so they have a chance.
They play Newcastle.
And then they'll play Newcastle. I think they'll play
Arsenal
2 games before Man City will even play a Premier League game.
The pressure is still on.
That's a chance of 6 games, although that's not rare, because that would mean that Man City is still behind you chasing. And it's quite interesting. If you're a fan, it's not where you want to be. But for those of us that are neutral, this is the kind of thing we want to watch.
Interesting. I know, Austin, what was going through your mind when you were watching that game last night, really?
No, I knew it would be a test of character for Manchester City, because they're now trying to, prove a point, win that game, get on top of the league table. Burnley was fighting for their lives also because they didn't want to go down, so they were fighting. And if you can tell from the game, as early as the 5th minute, Manchester City got that goal, and they had to keep it. Semenyo had a chance that would have used to kill it. It didn't happen. Look, that is the sort of game that if you blink, before you know it's either 1-1 or 2-1 Burnley win. But Manchester City did just enough to, as I said, keep their character, because now Arsenal, they've given them hope, So there's this sense of, if Arsenal doesn't want it, then let's come get it. And that's what Manchester City, they've been doing in the last 3-4 seasons, So I knew it was going to be a win for Manchester City, but I didn't know that it was going to be that difficult, because of what that game meant for Burnley. So now Arsenal must prove a point. They've got 2 home games back-to-back. First, they must beat Newcastle and take that momentum into the game against Fulham. After Fulham, they have West Ham away, which is going to be a pretty difficult game. Now, aside from that 2-1 win they had early this season against Newcastle, go and check Eddie Howe and Newcastle. They've been a thorn to Arsenal. So that makes it a tricky game. You know what? Let's listen to Pep Guardiola. He's happy with his team, and he's saying that the confidence is back. Listen.
Yeah, what I said yesterday, so win is the main target, so we make, considering the last 3 days and the emotional physicality, the game we play will make an extraordinary game, except the first half where we defend not good, 2 actions in behind. The line was not correct. Second half, in general, was good, and just, the chances we create, because we score more goals, but the important is every game winning now. Just focus in FA Cup semi-final, if we're able to reach another final, and after the Premier League for 5 games for both teams, and we'll see what happens. I know, I completely agree that the winning is only matters, but not in April, in September, October, November, but you have to do something to win. It doesn't matter that we have to win at any cost. Yeah, but we have to do something. We have to move our legs and jump and run and pass and shoot. So that is what we're working day by day, and even today before the game, we didn't talk about the consequences about what happened if you are top of the league or not. It's just what you have to do to beat Burnley, and this is the only thing you have to do.
Absolutely. Damilola, they just need to find a way to keep going and going. And as I said, if Arsenal isn't giving the sort of, vibe that they want to win this league title, then Manchester City will just snatch it again. Do you agree?
I totally agree. The only way Arsenal must show that they want it more. Man City has shown that already. It's for Arsenal to fight for it. They left the gap open, and Man City has sneaked in. And so they must prove that they want it. It's a test of their character. Talent is not, their talent in that team is not in doubt. But can the coach cope? Can the players cope under this pressure? And for me, that's what is going to get tested. Don't also forget that they are still in the Champions League. Is that going to be a blessing or a distraction? They must also manage that, because at this point I'm not going to say sacrifice the Champions League for the league. You've not won anything in more than 5 years. You have the opportunity of 2 titles. Just go for the 2, whichever
whatever works for you.
What
if the end of the 2 slipping away and trophyless?
No, the slip will start if they don't win the first leg against Atletico. Then we know that one is slipping away. But if they win the first leg, I mean, why do you want to jeopardize the second leg? If you have the Champions League final to aspire for.
I think that's important.
So that's what is important.
Yeah, for Man City, they play Southampton this weekend, the FA Cup, and after that, now let me run through what they will be. They'll be at Everton May 4th, and after that, they will be back home to play Brentford. That's May 9th, and against Bournemouth is a way, you know what Bournemouth can actually do to you. We saw what they did to Arsenal, to Man U. They have a way of actually beating these big boys on the 17th of May. That's when they will be at Bournemouth. And of course, against Crystal Palace, that's 22nd of May, and that's at home at Etihad. And their final game is also at home. That's against Aston Villa. That's what I was trying to tell you, that the run in they're having, they have more serious games. All the games are serious, but then these teams I just mentioned, Brentford, Everton, Bournemouth, Aston Villa. Crystal Palace here.
By the time we get to
these sides,
I agree that the first 2 will be tough, because those 2 teams are still chasing Europe.
Yes.
By the time they get to Bournemouth probably, that's about 2-3 weeks away. Bournemouth probably knows their fate already. So if they still have a chance,
you think Bournemouth will sleep?
No,
did you watch them against Arsenal?
If they have no chance of going to Europe, that game will become a bit more easier than when they have something to play for. But then, I think for Crystal Palace, their season is done. They are not going on relegation. They are not chasing European competition, so they are done. Aston Villa, also the last day of the season, Aston Villa's fate will have been decided. I think really, I agree with you that the next 2 games for Man City are a lot tougher. And I said it too. I said Arsenal's running is a lot more easier
Newcastle
than
first.
that of...
There's Fulham, there's West Ham, there's Burnley, and Crystal Palace.
So they are playing teams whose fate has been done, except for Newcastle. Even Newcastle is just take away the ego side of it. I mean, what are they going to achieve this season?
But West Ham fighting relegation, or you think by then, because they're going to play Newcastle, Fulham before West Ham. You think by then West Ham's fate will decide whether they've gone on relegation or not. But let's talk about Burnley. Actually, Burnley, I mean, 20 points from 34 games. I mean, we're 30 points adrift of safety with only 4 games remaining. That's why they're on relegation. So it's the 5th time, as the 5th consecutive season that Burnley have been either relegated or promoted. And now, the man Scott Parker, he has become a championship specialist. I mean, he won promotion in the past with Fulham and with Bournemouth. And now, you're having another team, Burnley, going on it. But Tottenham is in the mix of this relegation at the moment. If you look at what's going on with them, of course, you also have Leeds United have actually escaped their 9 points, adrift of relegation now. So, Austin, who do you see actually joining Burnley and Wolves in the championship next season? West Ham, Nottingham Forest. I want Nottingham Forest to stay. But then you have Tottenham, you have West Ham. These 2 teams are just dancing in that circle.
From the moment Tottenham started struggling, something in me said they're going down. I know that some persons really want Tottenham to go down. Mentally, they are not there, Cecilia. So it might just be Tottenham. I think it will be Tottenham, because Cecilia, I don't know.
Is it because
but I think it will be Tottenham that will go down. It's difficult to just come and say because it's Tottenham. You say, maybe when you have Tottenham, West Ham, and the Nottingham Forest, you want to say it's one of the smaller teams. But Tottenham, where they are now at the moment, They are damaged. When was the last time they won a Premier League game again?
I can't remember. Now, let's take a look at Tottenham's their next running, their next games. They're going to be at Wolves this weekend. They're playing Wolves. And after Wolves, they'll be playing Aston Villa away also. And after that, they are back home to play Leeds United. Saw what Leeds did to Bournemouth last night. Well, it was, I'm trying to remember his name, Sean Longstaff, that 97th minute goal to get a draw. They did everything they could to get a draw at Bournemouth. So it tells you what these guys can do. So they'll be playing Leeds. There's also Chelsea. There's Everton.
I think they should take it one game at a time. Get a win against Wolves, which is very possible.
Yeah, Wolves already.
And then maybe that can prep their hope and their
against Aston Villa.
It will be a disaster for Spurs to go down. A complete disaster. You don't have a stadium like that with that kind of investment. And then you are playing
all
in
the championship clubs will be so happy.
But one thing is certain, a London club is going down.
West Ham on top now.
That's what is certain.
So Nottingham Forest is staying top. Is that what you guys are saying?
I think they're, of the three, they are informed. They're the most informed of the three, Nottingham Forest. I think they will stay. For sentimental reason, I don't want Spurs to go down. Spurs will bring something more to the Premier League, more than West Ham would do in terms of competitiveness the next season. So if I'm to vote, I would say Spurs stay up. But I must admit, like Austin said, in terms of form, they will be at the bottom of that table.
The way it's looking like. Now, for West Ham, okay, Austin, we're going to say something. We're going to look at the runs.
I just remember that the last time Tottenham won a Premier League game was 28 December.
Can you imagine?
2025, Cecilia.
I forgot. I completely
forgot. A lot
has
changed.
Since then.
Chelsea have changed 2 managers. Since the last time Tottenham won a Premier League game.
And they're running. They're playing Everton. They have Brentford. They have Arsenal. They have Newcastle. And their last game is against Leeds United. Before we wrap up this European football segment, let's quickly talk about Leon Rosenio. And when he was, appointed 106 days ago, everyone was talking about he's a yes man. And now the yes man is now a no man. That's what it's looking like for Liam. Liam out of Chelsea. Austin, I know you saw this coming. Our producer, Irene Woma, he's on leave, but then he's been crying. Was he crying? He was actually happy that the man is finally...
He's one of those ungrateful Chelsea fans who, now that things are tough for Liam, they are now coming out and saying, oh, why did they leave him till now? When he came on, he had a good run. He tried to stabilize the team. But when you're dealing with some players, with average players with big egos, then it's difficult for this sort of manager, Fortunately, it couldn't last 107 days, and the record, Cecilia, they say it's been 114 years. Chelsea have lost 5 league games in a row without scoring for the first time since 1912. That's 114 years ago. That was the year the Titanic sank. The Titanic. That was the year it sank. And look, that's a very terrible, horrible record, and Chelsea couldn't just take it. And if you can remember, when they lost that last game, Liam Rosinio came out. He was almost crying. He said, look, this is unacceptable. They cannot keep defending players who will say one thing during training, and then they go on the pitch and they don't deliver. I have said it time and time again. Clubs should find a way that when a bad coach is being sacked, the bad players should follow. And players will sit up, Cecilia.
Yeah, they will sit up. Enzo Fernandez, Cucurella, at the time when Enzo Maresca was fired in January, they were questioning the decision. And then they brought in a guy, they look at him as, we are actually mates. Yes, he's 41, but then the respect wasn't much there. Do you think that was really triggered this? Because, it's...
I think it could be part of it. You don't sack... Okay, let's look at the coaches that Chelsea... After Mourinho, second coming of Mourinho, if you have to start scaling it down, Chelsea seems to have been going down in terms of the quality of coaches that they've hired. And I think it was unfair the way they sacked Enzo Maresca. They were on a bad run, but I think they should... after winning the Club World Cup, they should still have some credit in the bank to have stayed.
Yeah, it's spent more than 1 billion. All right, we're in this segment here. We'll come back to close the show. Austin, we have to go.
We have to go, I feel for Liam Rosinio. Stay strong, Liam. You did what you could do. Coaches are hired to be fired. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Yeah. Damilola Onifade, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's nice being here.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a good night's rest.